Hello YouTube, Big Terry here with Golden Oaks Worm Company, and today we're going to do an update on our red wiggler composting worms. So stay tuned. Now it's been about a month since our last update, so let's take a look under the hood of our Vermitech worm hut and see how our red wigglers are doing. Now, since our last update, we have been periodically feeding our red wigglers, so let's see how they're doing. And we can already see some movement here on the top layer now that we have removed the cover. Now let's zoom in and see if we can find any babies. Now I am seeing some mites here, which helps with the breaking down of the composting. You can see the little, looks like grains of rice moving around. Those are not harmful to our worms. You can see one there trying to escape from the light. And let's dig a little deeper and see how our worms are doing. See if we can find some babies. Our substrate is very moist, and here right on the top you can see a nice little brood. They have some grape here that we did our last feeding with, which they haven't seemed to touch very much of. Let's take a look at, oh yeah, we got a nice little worm ball here. And those are some adults. And the clitellum here, this middle section, is where we usually find the egg sacs. Let's see if we can find one that has like a fat clitellum. So yeah, we have been doing some periodic feedings, and you can see there over here in this corner we have quite a few that have been snacking on some of the grapes that we last put in here. So yeah, they are enjoying some fresh fruits and veggies. And it seems like they're doing pretty good. Substrate feels nice and moist. Probably not as moist as we would like it for breeding purposes, but considering that we have found some juveniles. Here's a juvenile. It seems like they are multiplying at a pretty good clip. Oh, there we go. Here's some babies. Let me see if I can zoom in here and see if you can spot them. See those very, very tiny little worms here? So here's a juvenile right there. See baby worm? So yeah, so they are still multiplying. And I think what we're gonna try to do is another little baby right there. See the little baby worms? So they are multiplying. There's some babies right there. So they are doing well. They are multiplying. We're not gonna do another feeding at this time because they still have a lot of food here left over. But what we are gonna do is fluff up the substrate, aerate it a little bit, get some fresh air in there, and we're gonna take a look at another tray that we added to the bottom for an inoculation tray. That way, some of the moisture and the material that can leach down from this top tray to the bottom tray to start preparing that tray as well for worms. So yeah, oh, there's a nice little clutch of babies in there. You see the little baby worms? So yeah, they are multiplying still. which is a good sign. So yeah, let's fluff up this substrate a bit. Let's fluff up this substrate a bit and we will take a look at our lower tray. Zoom out a bit here. So they are multiplying. What I may do is set a second bin up, a smaller bin, as just specifically a breeder bin. It's going to have a lot more moisture content in it, and see exactly how fast we can multiply a smaller group of red wigglers, because they are doing well here, but I think they could be doing a lot better, multiplying a lot faster than they are, which is really our goal. We were trying to produce as many red wigglers as we can. Oh, here's a nice little clutch in the corner here. Let's see if I can get them up. Yeah, see, that's definitely 2 adults. We got some more juveniles here. See the size comparison? Adult versus a juvenile. So yeah, we're definitely going to fluff up some of this substrate, get some air located in here. And looks like they are doing quite well. But yeah, I think we're gonna set up a separate bin just for breeders. And we're gonna do an experiment with that bin. We're gonna see if they can survive and breed on just the excess poultry feed that I have, because when I feed my quail, a lot of the remaining food is like granulated. So I'm gonna see if I can reuse that as worm feed, and maybe toss a little bit of coffee grounds and eggshell for grit, and see if that can do in terms of feeding food, worm food as well. Because if that is the case, that's less money we'll have to spend in our breeding process. We can just recycle the poultry feed as worm food, which would be very, very nice. That's a nice juicy one there. Very good. So yeah, so we fluffed this up quite well. And they still, like I said, have a lot of food left in here with the grapes that they haven't broken down quite yet. But other than that, we're not finding too much of the shredded cardboard, which is good. They've broken a lot of that down. So this is mostly just coconut coir, peat moss, and worm castings, which is the black gold that we use to plant in. So we use this this composted worm casting as our soil level, and then we top that with the mealworm frass from our mealworms, and it's like superfood. It's been growing our basil like gangbusters. So we definitely are seeing the benefits of breeding worms already in our garden that we started this year. There's a lot of new things happening this year between the worm farming, the quail farm breeding, and now our gardening and learning how to use work with power tools. So this year is becoming a very, very productive year. And we are well on our way to a path of self-sustainability, which is the goal. Trying to reduce our carbon footprint and live more off the land and less out of pocket. So yeah, so we got this nice and fluffed up. So that's very good. Okay, so let's take a look at our inoculating tray on the bottom and see how that is doing. See if we can find any worms down there as well. Be right back. Okay, so let's take a look. We just added one tray, and in this bottom tray underneath, we did nothing but shredded cardboard, dry shredded cardboard. And as you can see from, let me just make sure there are no worms hanging down here. Okay, so as we can see, there has been some moisture that has seeped through from the top tray, which is what we wanted. We want some of the juices and the soil level from the top tray to help inoculate this level so that the worms can start moving down there. And we do see some worms down here already. So there's one there, one of the adults. So the worms are moving in between the layers. So we'll fluff this up as well a little bit. You see some of the cardboard material that we had from the soil level, and this brown material is some of the compost that has come down from the top layer that they brought down with them. So you can see some more worms down in here. So they are moving. Oh, well, that might be a blue worm the way it jumped around. If that's the case, then there may be some interbreeding going on, because blue worms are known for that jumping like that. So we may have a couple blue worms in here with our red wigglers as well. Oh, and there seems to be one that has made it all the way down to our stop layer. So let's take a look at him. See, we got one escapee already. You see how he's jumping around too? That may be another blue worm. They're known for jumping around like that. So we'll put him back in the top layer where he belongs. So yes, we do have some, they're doing red wigglers down here as well as possible blue worms, and they are doing quite well. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take some of these worms that'll be a little bit easier to see and grab, and we're gonna put them in a separate breeder bin to see if they will multiply. Here's another juvenile down here. Let's see if I can grab him. They're very hard to grab. Here's another juvenile. Yes, we're gonna set up a smaller breeder bin as an experiment and see if we can double the number of worms that we have over there over the next 90 days, because they're supposed to double every 90 days as long as the conditions are right. So we're gonna see if we can do that. So now that we fluffed this up a little bit, let's go and get our smaller breeder bin and set that up and see if we can start doubling some of these worms just a little bit faster. Okay, so what we have here is one of those small Sterilite shoebox totes, which is gonna get us set up as a smaller breeder bin. It's about 6 quarts or 5.7 liters. And we're going to just set this up specifically as a breeder bin to see how fast our red wigglers actually multiply. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna set this up with some peat moss, some dry peat moss. Just about an inch or two of depth, because red wigglers don't need that much depth. They don't burrow as deeply as night crawlers do. So it's about 1 inch there. Let's get about another 1.5 inches or so of peat moss. All right, that should be good. Yeah, about 1.5 inches to 2 inches of depth there. That should be enough. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna wet this down very, very well. And we're also gonna take some of the castings here from our initial feeding bin, since it already has developed some of the microbes that our worms are gonna need. And we're gonna add that as well. And then we may have a few worms in here that we scooped up, which would be all right. See, there's one there. So we just add just about a handful of the old bin's contents so that we can jumpstart the microbiome there. And we're gonna wet this down a bit with some water. and get it nice and moist, because for breeding purposes, we want our substrate to be very moist, almost to the point of where when you squeeze it, it almost like there's a lot more water content. I want to say almost 100% water content. So we're going to grab some water and moisten this down. Now for our water, we're using some dechlorinated rainwater that we've collected in our last rainstorm. And we're just going to get this very, very moist, adding a little bit of water at a time. We don't want to oversaturate it, but we do want it moist enough to where the our breeders will actually breed. So let's mix this up a bit. And it's okay if we caught a couple of worms in when we scooped up some of that old substrate, because like I said, this is going to be specifically a breeder bin. And it's okay if we have a couple of juveniles in there already, because we're going to add a few more and just see how fast they multiply. So yeah, get this nice and wet. That peat moss soaks up a lot of moisture. Let's get some sharp twigs out in the meantime as well. Yeah, so this is almost the consistency that we have in our top tray already, which we want a lot more moisture than that. Yeah, that's okay. Yes, this is looking a lot better, closer to what we want. Much better, yes. Okay. It's getting there, guys. More to the level of moisture that we need, specifically for a breeder bin. It's a fine line, you know. You want to have enough moisture that the worms will be happy and want to breed, but not so much that they drown, because worms breathe through their skin. So you don't want them to drown and not be able to breathe. And we're actually going to leave this bin uncovered. And we're probably just going to put some bubble wrap on top for airflow. But we want to make sure that the worms actually stay in this bin and breed. So we're gonna leave the light on so that they stay in. Oh, it looks like we got it. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see this. This might be a little too small, but these are actually eggs, worm eggs. So right here in this bin already, we're gonna have babies. These are worm eggs. See that? Those are eggs. So that's proof that our worms are breeding already. So they're doing well, but we want to breed them a little bit faster. And what tends to happen is worms adjust based on the food and the amount that they have in there. They adjust the levels at which they breed. So if there's too many worms and not enough food, they'll slow down their breeding. And if there's a lot of food but not enough worms, they'll speed up their breeding. So that's one of the other reasons why we're going to do this separate side experiment to see how fast we can get them to breed. Okay, I think we have enough moisture there to get these guys started. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take some of the worms that only the ones that we have found here in our inoculating tray, and add them to this breeding bin. And we're gonna start with those. Since we already have some eggs and some possible juveniles in here already, we're just gonna add the few worms that we have here in this lower bin to get this breeding tray started. If I can grab them. Okay. Come here, little guy. Here's one. Let's see if I can find a couple more. They might have dug down to the lower tray because I exposed this tray to light. And as soon as they see light, they dig down. Here's another one here. And these are juveniles as well. No, I saw a couple of adults up here. Let's see if I can find them again. There's one. It's one of our adults. And you see how it's got a little bit of an enlarged clitellum. That means this may be ready to produce another egg sac very soon. It's another juvenile. So guys, we are doing pretty well with our red wigglers. We're going to be doing another update soon on our Canadian night crawlers, as well as we may be getting in some European night crawlers as well to see how fast they breed. They're actually a lot like red wigglers, only bigger. They don't breed as fast as red wigglers, but they can be used also for bait, for fishing. So we're gonna probably start a culture of them as well in the next month or so. So stay tuned for that. If you enjoy these videos and like to see more, please comment below. Please make sure to hit that like button and also hit the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything, but it helps out the channel a great deal. So yeah, we're gonna find a couple more of our red wigglers to add to this special breeder tray. And we're gonna put them back to bed. We're gonna give them a little bit of a feeding with just the excess poultry grind to see how they do with that, as well as some eggshell grit. See, there's one that escaped from the top tray. Once he saw the light, they moved down in there. So grab him, add him to the bin there. And you got one that's hanging out from the very, very top. Come here, guy. This guy was hanging in from the top of the tray. And I don't know if you guys can see this, but see how fertile that inoculating tray is? It's already got mushrooms growing out of the bottom. That's because the substrate that was leaching down is so fertile that it's actually producing its own growth. So you got a couple of those that are hanging down from the top. See, life is amazing. Let's see if we can find a couple of more red wigglers to add to this tray. Here's one there. And then we'll give them a feeding. Don't want to add too many, because if the poultry feed is not enough, rather just starve a handful of worms than have my whole colony die out from underfeeding. So our primary bin, we're going to continue feeding as usual. And this one, we're going to see if they can survive and breed on just the excess poultry feed, like we said. So let me see. I'm not finding too many more worms, so I think we're gonna start with that. Yep, okay, we'll start there with just those handful, and we'll check back in about a month's time and see how many we have there with our included eggs as well. So yeah, we got about a handful in there so far. Let's give them a bit of feeding food. Okay, so we have here on the menu, so we have some used poultry crumble, And this is just what the quail leave behind when they've eaten the bigger chunks. So it's kind of like a granulated powder. So let's see if our worms can survive on this. If they can, and that's one less thing we have to spend money on. So we're gonna give them a good amount so that they have plenty of food. And now just for added grit, we're gonna add some crushed eggshell. And these are both chicken and our newly acquired quail eggs that we've been enjoying, crushed up into a granulated form. Right, and then we're gonna do a little bit of dry coffee grounds, which they seem to really enjoy. And if this works out, this will be our brand new worm chow formula. That should be enough. You don't want to give them too much because they're not too many in there, so we don't want to. This will probably last them a few months, honestly, what we just fed them. But better safe than sorry. All right, so that's it, guys, for today. We're gonna put our tower back together, and we are going to set this breeder bin aside, and we're gonna check back in about a month's time and see how many worms we have in there with the few breeders that we did put in there, along with some juveniles and some unhatched eggs as well. So we're going to take a look at that in about a month's time. Our main worm bin is going to continue as usual, producing castings that we can plant in and fertilize with our mealworm frass and continue to grow our vegetable garden. So before we go, we're gonna take a look at our basil plants to see just how these worm castings and mealworm frass have been producing. I think I showed you guys in the last video the fresh basil we have planted. We're also going to attempt to grow some watermelon and some peaches, as well as some other fruit. But right now, the basil that we started has been growing like gangbusters. So we'll take a quick look at that before we end our video for today. Okay guys, so there may be a little bit of sun glare out of here, but I'm gonna try to capture this as best as I can. As you can see, our basil plants are growing quite well, being planted in our worm castings and fertilized with our mealworm frass. And we have a couple more right over here. I don't know if that's showing up very well, but that's our basil plant. And here was a strawberry plant that we were on. It was on its last legs when I picked it up from Lowe's. And some of the initial leaves had died off, but we replanted it in some worm castings and sprinkled it with mealworm frass. And these are all fresh new leaves that have grown back. So hopefully within next few months or so, I'm not sure how long strawberries take to grow. Hopefully by next year we'll start having some fruit, if not by the end of this year, hopefully. But yeah, that between the worm castings and the mealworm frass, this plant has been saved. So it is doing quite well, along with our basil plants. So hopefully in the next couple of months, we're going to be starting our actual garden beds, raised garden beds. I'm still collecting fruit seeds. I'm trying to collect some watermelon seeds. For some reason, it seems like every watermelon that I find in the grocery store now is seedless. It's like they don't want you planting your own food. But we're trying to get some watermelon seeds, trying to grow some plums, some nectarines, and some things like that. I want to get more fruits, because vegetables seems to be okay to grow, but I'm more of a fruit guy. And before we go, let's take a quick look at our quail. They're doing quite well. We have to make some adjustments for them because one of our hens here in the lower cage was getting overbred by this guy, Sherman. So I had to separate him. He had a little bit too much libido, and he started to tear up the heads of one of my hens because they grab, if you can see her there, she got the scarring on the top of her head. That's from Sherman, because when they breed, they grab the back of the head of the female when they mount. So she's got some scarring there. So I had to separate her, and she seems much happier. I've got her in a separate cage along with 3 other females and 1 other male, and they seem to have been doing better. So I still have to find some more mates for my main man Sherman here. But their children that we hatched in cycle 1 are currently in the brooder. We'll take a quick look at them as well before I go. They're about a week old now, and they're starting to get their featherings. So if you like to follow their journey, you can check out our other channel, which will be linked in the description of this video, Golden Oaks Quail Hatchery, and you can follow more progress on them. And before we go, we'll take one quick look at the chicks and see how they're doing. So here we have our homemade brooder that we built on a video, one of our last videos on the Quail Channel. And inside we have 21 hatchlings. And they are doing quite well. They are growing fast. In just the last week that they've been born, since they have been hatched, they are already starting to get their feathers, and they've already doubled in size. So they'll be in here for about 2 more weeks. And at that point, they will be moved outside with their parents to a separate grow-out pen, which we still have to build, which will be our next experiment. Me and the new woodworker trying to develop those skills as well. Let's see if we can grab one and take a closer look at them real quick. Hey, come here, little guys. Now they are, there we go. See, they're starting to get their wings already, their feathers, they're starting to feather out, and they're already jumping quite a bit. See, they already got hops, so another week or so, I probably won't even be able to contain them in here. Every time I open up this thing, they'll probably attempt to fly out. But we have a couple that see, you got hops. I got a couple here that I think may be celadons. They're a different color. They're like my blondes. Let me see if I can grab one of them real quick. They're the fastest ones. They're the hardest to grab, the little blonde ones. Here's one of them. Come here. One of my little blonde babies. I think this could be a celadon. One of my celadon chicks. See, they jump. Come here, little guy. Oh, now I gotta catch him. Where'd you go? Where'd you go, little girl? There you are. They're quite fast. Come here, baby. Come here. I won't step on you by accident. See, this is part of the fun of raising quail. Where'd you go? There you are. You hiding from daddy? Come here. Yeah, there's one of my 2 blonde babies. And I have one that's more of like a chocolate brown. And I think the rest are just standard jumbo brown Coturnix quails. But yeah, once you, they're actually more comfortable with me holding them than the adults, because I've been around since they were born, so they're more used to me once you actually grab them. Yeah, very docile. So these little guys are for sale. The price has gone up to $4 now that they're a week older, and their pricing will go up each week until they are adults. So if you would like to purchase one, we are located in Mabank, Texas. For local pickup or delivery, you can comment below or email us at goldenoakswormco@gmail.com if you would like, if you're local in the Mabank area and would like a quail chick. Now we are raising these guys for meat and egg production. As I said, their parents, they're on my initial flock, are my pets, and these guys are solely for meat and egg production, their offspring. All right, guys, so that'll be all for today. Hope you enjoyed this. Remember, if you did, please remember to hit that like button, share, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube things for the algorithm. And until next time, this is Big Terry with both Golden Oaks Worm Company and Golden Oaks Quail Hatchery signing off.